First off, rest in peace to O.J. Simpson. I know he's not everyone's favorite person, but what I've been seeing for the last day or so, ever since the announcement of his passing from people, it's very sad. Despite what people might think if he did it or didn't do it, he was acquitted of charges, not in the criminal case, but not in the civil case. He eventually did serve some time for trying to steal back his memorabilia and all that, but to go out with cancer and the way some people, especially in the media, sports media, celebrate it, it's utterly disgusting. Cancer is one of the worst ways to go out. We don't wish it on your worst enemy. But here are these people out here to celebrating OJ's death like it's a holiday or something. But we all knew this was coming. We should have known this was coming when it was announced. But I think we hold people to a higher standard of appropriateness, which is seldomly used these days. I, for one, like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of OJ like that. His time in the NFL was way before I was born. I just know he's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, college Hall of Fame, pro Hall of Fame, and all that. Acting, broadcasting, and all that. Some of that way before my time. Some of that when I was a wee big kid. But at 4 years old, recently 4 years old, when he was running away in that Bronco on the 405, I ain't know a damn thing, of course. So I really have I wouldn't say no knowledge, but no feelings towards it. Like I said, the jury of his peers found out he was now guilty. There it is. It's whatever. But just to hear people like Stephen A. Smith, we already knew what Stephen A. Smith was going to sound like. The shucking and driver himself. And they ain't got the man thing over there. Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, going off and celebrating about OJ's death, which is the irony about it. Wasn't Robert Kardashian on that case too, OJ's murder trial too? The irony behind that. I think he was. I remember watching that, what was it, America Crime Story or something like that on FX when he covered the whole story. And I think they had a special cameo from the Kardashian family for some weird reason. But anyways, then he had Doug Gottlieb going off on him. He was probably one of the most despicable ones. And then he's going off on Cam and Mace for having OJ on the show, even though Cam and Mace's show is about sports. Yeah. It's just some of the behavior I see from some people today is ugly. And they think they're holier than now. That's the funny part about it. That's the very funny part about it. All these people are trying to act like they're holier than now. And then they're celebrating the day that someone dies. Oh, believe it or not, OJ did have a family. For the family probably to hear some of that is probably utterly disgusting. It's crazy. And some people who probably celebrate call themselves Christian, which is the most funniest thing about it too. There was, back in the day, probably about 12, 13 years ago, 11 years ago, I had this beef with this one dude, right? I don't know I know it was over, but I had this beef with this one. I'm not going to go into further what the beef was about. But we used to go back and forth into it all the time. And then I realized, I found out that he was facing some hard times, struggling to find a place to live. His dad didn't want him in the house. All sorts of stuff was just going bad for him. And this dude was probably one of the most cockiest people I ever met in my life. But you know what? Once I found out that he was struggling and facing some hard times, trying to get a job and trying to find a place to live, I ended the beef. I didn't relish in his misfortune as much as I didn't like him. I didn't do that. This is true facts too. I ain't lying about it. I ain't relishing that. I let the whole beef go. I actually ended up having a conversation with the guy. And the beef was over after that. Ever since then, I don't live in the same city anymore. I don't live in California anymore. But every time I see him, give him a heads up. Nod up, shake his hand, ask him, how's everything going? But these people these days, man, call themselves Christian and holier than now, celebrating a man's death of cancer, struggling with cancer that basically just deteriorated his body, even though OJ never let on. But apparently, I guess people can see that he was deteriorating quickly. I mean, not quickly, but deteriorating each month from cancer. And cancer is no joke. I had people in my family who passed away from that. So that ain't no joke. So whether you think he did it or not, as Chad Ochocinco said and Shannon Sharp said on their nightcap show, God don't like ugly. And God don't like, especially don't like when people celebrate people's death like that. So people like Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, Stephen A. Smith, Doug Gottlieb, and so many others who run their mouths about death. Man, you people, man, y'all some wicked people to be celebrating someone's death.